Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. Today, the 10th of October, is World Mental Health Day, and on this day I am here with 10 books with mental health representation that will help you understand mental health better. And all of these books are so beautifully written and they help you understand human nature and the human mind in so many ways. And on this day I can't say anything other than that please go read these books. You will not regret reading them. I know there are many other books out there that may represent mental health in a better manner, but these are the books that I read and I really liked reading, and not just for the storylines or the plots or the lessons that it's giving us, but also for the understanding that it gave me about mental health. So please remember that these books are books that I have read, and it does not encompass the entirety of books with mental health representation out there. Mental health is so important especially in this time and age, but the amount of condescension that it meets in so many people is unparalleled. Like, there are people who just turn their noses up at depression and like, yeah, you're just sad, you'll get through it. No, mental health issues are as important as physical health issues, and this is a simple fact that many people don't get, and I'm really sorry that they don't. I don't know why I am saying sorry, but I think on behalf of humanity as a whole, if each of us are sorry, then maybe we could make a difference. But the amount of importance we give to physical health, for example, if we have a fever, then we know that we need to take rest to recuperate. The same way, if we have depression or if we have anxiety or any other mental illness, then we are expected to just be up and about and not do anything about it. We are supposed to just give it time so that it will leave. You will get over it. That's how many people call it. It's our fault that we are going through depression or anxiety. Why do you give it so much leeway, they say. We don't have control over it, just like we don't have control over getting a cold or getting fever or getting any other disease for that matter. But there are also many kind people on this planet, people who you can lean back on, who you can talk to, who you can take help from to emerge from that pit of mental illness. So if you ever feel like you are descending into that pit or you are in that pit, please know that there is someone who will listen to you, who will talk to you, who will help you through it. And if it's not anybody else, then that someone could just be you. So if you don't want to depend on someone else, then give yourself time. Like, I'm not getting this right. I don't know what to say. I've been bumbling for the past 10 minutes, unable to understand what to talk and how to address the matter. But before I make an utter fool of myself, let's just get on with this video and let me share with you the 10 books that I have read which have an amazing mental health representation. First up is the book that first sprang to mind when I thought mental illness rep, and that book is M and the Big Home by Jerry Pinto. This has representation of manic depression. This is the story of Imelda Mendes, who is M to her children and a family, and she has manic depressive episodes. And this story is about not only how she deals with her depression, but also how her family deals with her depression and with loss. Jerry Pinto has put in so much pain, so much sorrow, so much, I wouldn't say misery, but I would say that angst about, not being able to do anything and just watching as a loved one spirals into these episodes. And it is amazing, the nuances in this, the complexity that this story has. It's simply brilliant. It broke my heart. If you are looking for books with mental health reps, then this is one that you should definitely read. Next up is one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. There couldn't not be a Matt Haig book on this list, because Matt Haig is one of the most empathetic, most amazing human beings on this planet, and he knows how it is to live with mental illness. And Reasons to Stay Alive is his own story, his own struggle with depression. When he was 24, he was in Spain and he was about to go throw himself off a cliff because he couldn't take what depression was doing to him. And to see how he emerged from it and how strong he has grown into the kind of beautiful person, the kind of kind person that he has grown, is simply amazing. Like, every video that I talk about Matt Haig in, I am singing pains to him. Is it pains or pains? Pains to him. This is a non-fiction book. Obviously, this he writes about his experiences and what he has learned over these past 2 decades, I think. I'm not really sure how many years it's been since that episode, but over these years, these past years, all his lessons, everything he has learned, everything that has helped him emerge from those pits of darkness, he has put them in here. And even if you don't have a mental health issue, then this book will be one that you will really identify with on so many levels. I'm now on a mission to make everyone read Matt Haig's books because he's that amazing. Next up is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig again. The main character, Nora Seed, battles depression in this book, and she just wants to end her life because nothing is going according to plan. She takes that step, and then she discovers that there's a midnight library between life and death where all the possibilities of all the decisions that she has taken and that she could have taken, the lives are all there in those books. Each book has a different life, and how she discovers meaning to her own life and what she wants and what could have happened and how she rediscovers hope follows this story. And if you thought that I had gushed enough of this book, then you are totally wrong, because I cannot gush enough about this book. Every time this book comes up, I will go nuts and I will choke up. If you've seen my September wrap up, then you will see, like, I broke down. It's all there on camera. I have just built up the courage today to not break down. But yes, this is another book that Matt Haig has written that is amazing. It's beautiful. There's so much empathy in there. There's so much kindness. There's so much warmth that you just want to hug the book and just cry. And that's exactly what I did when I finished reading this book. Next up is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and I read this earlier this year along with Nandini from Read Dream Repeat, and she is a huge Plath fan, and I saw why. Sylvia Plath battled depression, and the way she handled it and the way she has written her experiences in words, there are a lot of metaphors, there's a lot of allegories in there, and there's so much more that I cannot explain in words that I completely forgot to mention that The Bell Jar is semi-autobiographical. It's not an autobiography, it's a novel, but it has glimpses of her life in there, and it broke my heart to read it because of how matter of fact yet deep the whole story was. And I know that when Nandini does a reread of it early next year, I will be joining her again. Next up is The Extraordinaries by T.J. Klune. This is one of the most feel-good books I've ever read. And the main character, Nicholas Bell, has ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and his energy comes through. And when you're reading the audiobook, the narrator makes it so much fun to read and so much to empathize with, to identify with. You can tell right away that Nick is one such character. He is adorable, but he can be oblivious, and his energy is freaking amazing. I love Nicholas Bell, but I also wanted him to see what was right in front of him. But even so, I really enjoyed reading this book, and this is one of those feel-good books, and I love how TJ Klune has handled this whole story, this whole rep in here, and I love it. I can't wait to get my hands on a physical copy of this book. Next up is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This does not directly talk about depression, but it is implied because one of the main characters is going through it. Frances is a very studious person. She has just one goal in mind and she won't let anybody come in the way. But then she meets Aled, and when she meets him, she realizes that she can be who she is and not someone that the society expects her to be. But things happen that cause the trust between them to be broken. So what will Frances do? Will her earlier will to study and do something else not have people in her life, will that come true, or will she see a change in herself and bring these people back into her life? Forms the entire story. This is a very bad gist. This book talks about a lot of such issues. It talks about how it takes courage to, to live for yourself and not for someone else, to have an own identity and not what society asks you to be, and how every facade, every thought process that you have had so far about things that you thought will be this way might not always come true, and about breaking away from the life that you are currently leading if it means that you will get more mental peace in the life that is waiting for you. And this whole package is one brilliantly written book, and Alice Oseman's writing is amazing. Radio Silence is one more book that you should definitely read. It was my first Alice Oseman book, and I'm already contemplating buying more of her books and just getting started on them while ignoring these. Next up is 1,000 Perfect Notes by C.G. Drews. This has anxiety rep. The main character Beck has anxiety. This is the story of Beck, whose mother was once a great piano player, but because of an accident she can't play it anymore, and she decides to put it all on Beck. And the amount of pressure she puts on Beck is heartbreaking, to say the least. And given Beck's anxiety issues and coupled with this and everything, he has such a hard time living in that house. And when August Frey comes into the picture and she wants to become Beck's friend, will Beck be able to make a friend? Will Maestro allow it? Or will he be able to have these friends and escape the life that Maestro has made him live so far? It forms the entire story. This is full of musical references and heartwarming and heartbreaking scenes. And the way Beck deals with his anxiety while living with an abusive mother, I cried because of how heartbreaking it is and how beautifully the author has written this, and I know that I will go back to C.G. Drews' books. Next up is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. The main character in this thriller book has anxiety, and the way she deals with it at the beginning of the book and the way she deals with it at the end of the book, there's a stark difference, and she is pushing through, and the way she does it is remarkable. I think the main character in this book is a journalist. She goes on an assignment when some hotshot is calling all the press and everyone on a yacht. She is assigned one room and she is told that cabin 10 is empty, but suddenly she sees that it is not empty and there is a woman over there when she goes over to ask for something, but everybody else maintains that there is no woman in cabin 10. That cabin is empty because someone didn't turn up or something. And the way this messes with her mind, the anxiety that she has, like, it takes a toll on her to a point, because everybody's telling one thing but she knows she saw something because she has that object that woman had handed over to her. And I love the manner in which the author has written this book because of how realistic it sounds and because of how realistic the anxiety rep is in this book, and I really enjoyed reading it. This was my first Ruth Ware book and I'm really glad I read the book. Next up is I've Never Been Unhappier by Shaheen Bhatt. This is the story of Shaheen Bhatt's own battle with depression and how much she suffered as she went through this whole stage period in her life and the point at which she is now. This is a really short book and you can get through it in about 2 hours, I think, but the amount of weight that it holds, it's simply mind-blowing in the sense that it will take you down. You will cry at one point or another. I don't have anything else to say about this book because it's a non-fiction book. It's Shaheen Bhatt's own story and I don't think I can comment on her story, and I think I'll leave it at that. Next up and last is The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman. This is supposed to be a rom-com, sort of a fun read, but the main character Nina Hill has anxiety, and the way the author has woven this into that rom-com story and in which Nina is shown to be so relatable to many people is amazing. Like, Nina gets anxious when she is among people, and when she is alone, that's when she is most relaxed, and that is something that even I identify with, and I don't have anxiety. And how Nina's life goes as she handles these anxiety attacks and how she lives her life. I mean, she has come to that point where she is now able to not let anxiety do that thing. And I really enjoyed reading this book. It was a 4-star read for me. I read this last year. But yes, this is a book that is fun, that has the anxiety rep, that is very well written. It's an easy read language wise, and you can get through it pretty soon. So these were the 10 book recommendations I had for you with mental health representation in them. And let me know what you thought of this video. Did you like them? Did you not like them? Have you read any of these? What are your thoughts about them? Do you have any more recommendations for me with mental health reps? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.